Hi, my name is Sean Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek. Another big week for you. Every week is a big week at the Last Podcasters, but this week is especially big. It's so big that we've had to redo this take like 3 times because we keep messing it up. Because
I punched in the last one and I liked it.
I did.
So
It got really close to the camera. It worked out really well. I dug it. And so, but this week is huge. It's Avatar size huge. It's multiple Avatar size huge. That is because to this week we are ranking every Avatar that we know about in Avatar: The Last Airbender universe. Now, I know what you're thinking, longtime fans.
But Sean, didn't you guys already rank the avatars? Wasn't it a crap list? You're gonna do it again?
Wasn't it a crap list? No, it was a great list in 2019, before 2020 happened, and more importantly, before the Kyoshi novels happened. It was the list. It was the definitive list at the time, based on canon. But thankfully, we have new canon to work off of. We've got 2 Kyoshi novels since then that have drastically changed what we know about the avatars, which is great. And I mentioned it in my previous take. I think I'm going to say it again. We hope that we are forced to redo this in the future because it means they keep shoveling out good stuff. That'd be great. I'd love to redo this every year. So this is the definitive list as of July 2020 after the Kyoshi novels. Spoiler alert. We're redoing this whole thing just because we forgot to mention the spoiler alert. That's how much we like you. We're in the video. We're no, we gotta do a spoiler alert because it does give away pretty big chunks of what happens in the 2 Kyoshi novels. So if you don't care, it's fine. But if you plan on reading those and you haven't yet, both of them, Rise of Kyoshi and Shadow of Kyoshi, don't watch this.
Check out our older ranking. It'll be valid.
We'll do that anyway because it's probably funny. But yeah, go watch that and then read those novels and tell us that they're crap and then come back to this one. We are much better informed. So, big spoiler alert. And then also we did it slightly different this time. Instead of the usual where we each kind of do our own rankings and go back and forth, we wanted to like a true, definitive, had a discussion. And so we're a united front. And if it works, great. It was Chris's idea. And if it was a stupid thing, then it was my idea. And it's fine. We're going to try either way. United front. And there was only 8 of them. So it wasn't really that hard to come to a decision. That being said, let's get to some rankings. Almost. Let's get to some history. Chris, would you care to give us some background?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, these rankings are going to be based off of not how powerful the avatar is, not who's your favorite character, but based off of which avatar was best at doing their job of maintaining peace and balance, and I'm going to add in harmony, in the whole entire world, and that is the spirit world and the human world. Very important.
I really liked last time I said we should have done it on a 10-point scale of United States in 2020 on one end of the spectrum to harmony. Every avatar falls somewhere in that scale. We're going to place them somewhere in there. But it's not a head-to-head fight. That's the biggest thing. Everybody wants the head-to-head fights. That's another episode. That's more show fodder.
All right, so Avatar 1 history. He was born in 9850 BG. He's the element origin of fire. A couple of notable things from him. He freed Vaatu from Rava. He merged with Rava to become the first Avatar, defeated Vaatu, locked him away during harmonic convergence, and yeah. He is the first Avatar, so that's his history.
Chris, what does 9850 BG
that's
mean?
Right. 9850 BG means 9,850 years before genocide, as before the air nomad genocide. Apparently we learned in Rise of Kyoshi, Shadow of Kyoshi, that another archaic way of keeping time is the avatar's avatarhood, what year. So if it's the first year of Avatar Kyoshi, it would be her being 1 year old.
That's probably better than counting your way up to the genocide. Man, that genocide's going to happen in 200 years. Should we do something? That'd be weird. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably what the Fire Nation was doing.
Just buying their time. Jerks.
Hey guys, can't wait. Next year's our time.
In what the heck, The Nightmare Before Christmas, where they've got the days till Halloween calendar on the town clock. Be days until Airbender genocide. It's a little morbid,
Okay.
but hey,
Very morbid.
they were kind of
That's
a-holes in that time,
yeah.
so it's fine.
It's Fire Lord Sozin for you. All right. Speaking of the Fire Nation, the next avatar we finally get some history on is Avatar Szeto. This avatar was formerly known to fans as Avatar Jafar because of his hat, and it's kind of appropriate. Anyway, for us, we used to call him Avatar Rozukin, which I think was a better name, honestly.
Got a
Had
nice ring to
R's,
it.
had Z's, had K's. Szeto only has the Z there, and you like the Z to be silent
I do,
anyway.
because he's Seto Kaba. He doesn't look anything like Seto Kaba, other than just kind of have like a regal appearance to him. But any excuse to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh is really all I'm after here. What did you call him, Zito or Zeto or?
Szeto.
Okay, well I'm still just gonna
I
say
assumed
Seto, and I'm gonna do it on purpose. Or
his
Rozukin.
element of or Rozuki. His element of origin is fire. He saved the Fire Nation at a time of great peril with plague, natural disasters, and clan fighting. Pretty much, the Fire Nation was on the brink of going back to before there was a Fire Lord. There was like 5 to 10 clans that all had like control of certain islands, and there was a lot of infighting there. But then they came together to be the whole Fire Nation. So they were kind of on the brink of going down that path. He was a minister and later a grand advisor to the Fire Lord. So the way that he
I really thought you were gonna say to the Sultan.
to the Sultan,
I did,
Avatar
because he
Jafar.
paused just for a minute. I was like, "Oh, come on, Chris, you can do it."
Yeah, he was. He was very. He's like a whole holiday in the Fire Nation is named after him. I think it's called the Festival of Szeto.
A multi-day, even not even a holiday. It's a
Yeah,
multi-day.
exactly. Yeah, it's like a whole weekend type of deal.
I
Yeah,
could see
he
it
he
being
did a
like
lot.
their Independence Day in like being unified as a nation or something like that.
Yeah. Pretty much he was. If I wanted to like make him sound nerdy, he was just a really good accountant for the Fire Nation.
On
Like you
purpose.
did,
He did that
yeah.
intentionally.
You didn't have to be the Avatar to do that. It could just been Bob in accounting. But
Jafar over in accounting.
yeah. um, but yeah, he was really he was great. The thing is, in the Shadow of Kyoshi book, this historian is talking to Kyoshi, and she's like, "What did he do to fix the situation?" And he said he applied for a job. Like that doesn't sound that great. Um,
Seto, if you
yeah,
keep doing so well, you're gonna take over this company someday.
yeah. I'll read a quick thing about him. Um, so the advisor said it turned out to be a brilliant strategy. Oh, Rangi said this. It turned out to be a brilliant strategy. Rather than chase emergencies all over the nation, he concentrated his efforts on a central location and spread his influence from there. Zeta was an extremely capable bureaucrat, accountant, and diplomat. And since he was working for the royal family, there was no split in legal and spiritual authority in the country. His victories were the Fire Lord's victories. And so that's the thing is that his accomplishments are only really Fire Nation based, and maybe he was I don't know, a Fire Nationless. No, I'm kidding. He was Avatar. I'm sure he wasn't like that.
But like a bit of a homer. Let's call him a homer. Like
But
that, at
definitely
least
like the
from what we know
most.
about him.
He's definitely the most nationalist of the Avatars. I think. Like he worked for the Fire Lord.
We can get there later, but the next most that you could maybe say that about for totally different justifiable reasons would be Aang.
Yeah, true.
Different reasons.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's his history. That is Yangchen. She was born in an unknown time, dies 345 BG. Her nationality is the air nomads. She made compromises with spirits like General Old Iron, but did not hold humans accountable to their side of the bargain, leading them to turn into dark spirits that will hunt Kuruk in the next lifetime.
They got
She
pretty
did,
upset.
yeah. She did establish peace in the human world by doing whatever was necessary. She was often worshipped as a deity. Like so instead of people saying like, "Oh my God," or "Oh the spirits," they would call on to Yangchen for guidance and protection.
even other
So,
avatars. I want to jump in real quick and point out that previously all we knew was this fight against General Old Iron,
mhm.
and what we kind of knew is, hey, she said, you stop killing people and haunting people, and in return we'll respect your field and respect this day, and that becomes a much bigger that
Yes.
becomes a microcosm of a much bigger theme for Yangchen in the
Yeah. Which even
books.
Aang has to deal with later
Yeah.
on.
God, Yangchen
Yeah.
bless.
Next is Avatar Koruk. This is interesting. Anyway, we found out a lot more about him from Rise of Kyoshi and Shadow of Kyoshi. So he was born 345 BG. He died 312 BG, which means he was only 33 years old.
Chris, how old are
Um,
you? Just kidding.
I don't know. Am I 33 or
You're only
32?
32.
Okay, yeah.
Even I knew that.
Anyway, he was known as to himself, go with the flow avatar who arrogantly challenged people to bending contests until he met the love of his life. But his lack of diligence made it possible for Ko to steal her face. He had to battle dark spirits like Father Glowworm, and he was also took it upon himself to protect the legacy of Yangchen.
Uh, Avatar, self-proclaimed go with the flow avatar that may have been an exterior persona to an extent,
Yes,
still fit him just fine. But
yes.
and then also the first met until he met the love of his life, but not the first love of his life, if you'll
Oh no,
recall. Yeah,
he got around.
he did.
Avatar Kuruk drank and partied,
We
but it's understandable.
I wanted to
Those
know. I wanted to know more about not the drinking and the partying, but how he like came to. Because we learned more about one of his previous relationships that there's no need to talk about it here because it's just spoiling unnecessarily. But I wanted to learn like how he bumped into his actual wife and a little bit about Ko the Face Stealer. We don't get
yeah,
to that stuff, but at least we still have awareness of it when we're doing these rankings.
yeah.
And
Oh,
pretty douchey to propose to your wife the day that you meet her. That's not cool. Don't do that, kids.
but we'll dive more into him in our rankings. But that's
Yes, we
just
will.
some overarching history there.
I'm jacked
Next
for it.
is Avatar Kyoshi, and she's kind of stacked with things because she already had a couple different accomplishments and notable things just from the TV show, and we got two whole novels about her. So she was born 312 BG. She died in 82 BG, which means she lived to be 230 years old. She reigns from the Earth Kingdom. She was instrumental in stopping the Fifth Nation army led by Tagaka. She brought order to the Earth Kingdom by defeating the Yellowneck army, who was led by Zhu. She defeated the murderous Jianzhu. She defeated Yoon as well. She stopped a peasant
Spoiler.
uprising in Ba Sing Se, created the Dai Li to protect the cultural heritage of the Earth Kingdom. She stopped Chen the Conqueror by killing him while she simultaneously created Kyoshi Island. She trained an elite group of women to protect themselves called the Kyoshi Warriors.
This and we've added tons and tons of knowledge about Kyoshi with these novels. But you got to remember, even the novels, what do they get it to like 22 or 20 or something? Like
Tony,
just
18.
18. I don't even
Yeah.
know if they explicitly say. I don't recall, but 18 sounds right. But the point is, like, even all that and like just scratching the surface of a 230-year-old Avatar. Something
Yeah.
to be said for that.
I haven't gotten to a 10% of her life.
That's wild to think about. Yeah, like what 1/7 of her life.
Yeah.
No, wait, that's Sean. That's bad math. What are you doing?
Yeah, I said
Yeah,
what?
10. No, you're fine. Yeah, you got it better. I don't know why I'm trying to less than a 10th. But yeah, and some bad in there as well. But point is, short, small scope of a huge lifetime.
Yeah. Next is Avatar Roku. He was born 82 BG, died 12 BG. Fire Nation. He momentarily stopped the Fire Nation's war. His mercy led to the Fire Nation committing genocide on the air nomads and the 100-Year War. So, oh, I meant to add this. He did save hundreds of people from Roku's island burning up on the volcano. Granted, maybe he didn't have to die there anyway.
Maybe don't build your houses On a volcano.
on top of a volcano.
I'm still happy that he saved those people. That is his job.
All right. A lot of people's favorite avatar, Avatar Aang. He was born 12 BG. He died 153 AG. Came from the air nomads. He ran away from his responsibility and got
He
frozen in a ball
died
of
in
ice for 100
153.
years.
Oh, I forgot the 100 years. Duh. My bad. I was like, he didn't live that long. Biologically.
Uh, um, he successfully defended the Northern Water Tribe from the Fire Nation. He defeated the Fire Lord Sozin and ended the 100-Year War by
Ozai.
learning energy bending. Yes, that was interesting because a lot of people commented like, huh, he just said
Yeah.
Sozin.
That's what made me think of it. And then because
That's funny.
somebody else made a comment about like something we ranked too high versus too low, and then I replied, I was like, "This aged well." I hope that person hasn't read the book, but they're gratified.
Well, I think the rest of that person's comment was a little rude, but anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, yeah, so he defeated Fire Lord Ozai. Did you change it in your notes? And yes, you did. I
Yeah,
did
I
not
did.
change it in my notes. Okay, good. Anyway, and ended the 100-Year War by learning energy bending. With Zuko, he founded Republic City. He ended Yakon's hold on Republic City by taking away his bending.
It's funny to think those 2 points back to back. Like he founded a city, and then some other guy just came in and took control right away. Come
This is
on,
my
Aang.
city, Avatar.
Come on, kid.
All right, next is Avatar Korra. She was born in 153 AG, nationality the Water Tribe. She defeated Amon, defeated Unavatu at Harmonic Convergence, which was by herself. She defeated the living embodiment of darkness and chaos. She opened the spirit portals, which led to new airbenders. She defeated Yundun right after which was in the video game. And she protected the airbenders and beat Zahir. She defeated Kuvira and opened a third spirit portal. So
Solid resume. I don't
yeah,
think there's any
very
buffer
solid.
slides, so whenever that's your history, again, I guess remember as you go through this that there's no back and forth. We've decided this is it. This is final. The only way you're not allowed to disagree. But you know, if you do, just go ahead and put it in the comments anyway.
Yes.
Chris, you ready?
All right. So for reference sake, here are our old rankings, how they came
Oh
out.
yeah. You know what am I talking about? I did have a buffer slide.
Yeah, so number 1 was Yangchen. Number 2 was Korra. Number 3 was Aang. Number 4, Kyoshi. Number 5, Wan. Number 6, Kuruk. And number 7, Roku.
Honorable mention, Rozukin.
Yes.
Yeah, so look at those, internalize them. If you have read the novels, have a chuckle.
Yes. All right. On to our new worst. Well, our new number 8 avatar,
That's
who is the worst avatar,
not the
and that
worst,
is
but
Avatar Roku. For the same reasons we mentioned last time, his inactions led to the entire genocide of a whole group of people, and then on top of that, the whole war. You know, thousands of people, I'm sure, died in this war, all because he didn't want to kill his friend, all because he didn't take the necessary steps to do that. And also, his advice, even afterwards, to Aang, to me, wasn't like great advice. Like we see in The Promise, he's like, you know, Zuko makes Aang promise him to kill him if he falls out of line. And all the time, Roku's like, 4 nations need to be 4 nations. Kill him. I don't care. Just right, to me, he's kind of just trying to, I don't know, make amends for his own
for his own
failures.
inability to kill close friends. God, Roku. What would Neville do? That's what Neville Longbottom would have killed Sozin. Now, I defended Roku last time over Kuruk, just because Kuruk, thinking about Kuruk being a douchebag. But now that we know more about Kuruk, and also just having a better understanding after doing a podcast for 2 years of Roku's actions or inactions, so I still understand it's hard, and I understand he contributed to Aang's success, but just in the way that every avatar contributes to the next avatar's success, hopefully. Yeah, easy choice.
Yeah. Number 7 is Avatar Szeto. So I think at this point there really aren't bad avatars because we don't really know that much bad stuff about Szeto. We just only know that he really helped out the Fire Nation, and so I really have nothing. And to me, that doesn't compare to a lot of the more grand things that other people have done for more than just their own nation. So he's just right here, and it's sort of a response of not having enough other information besides
It
on him.
it's tough because what we learn about him, we learn in celebration from the Fire Nation, and now he's a few avatars removed at this point, so it's all purely history. And as we mentioned, he's very nationalist. If we go ask the Earthbenders what they thought of him, maybe a different story. We just know the least. So, as you mentioned, there's a gap here of bad Avatar versus now at least what we know, good avatars from number 7 on up. No offense,
Bad,
Szeto.
bad Roku,
Bad
only
Roku.
bad. And
What would
people
Szeto
might be
say?
asking themselves like, wait, Kuruk is usually known as like the bad avatar. How is he not the bad avatar? We will get to that later, but not right now because
Not,
number
not
6
yet.
is Avatar One. I know it might be a surprise for people, um, but one for me, one is about like balancing the scales, right? He he let Vatu go, like who is the embodiment of darkness and chaos. That was his actions. Granted, he was tricked into it. Um, yeah, but it still happened.
We
But he
we
didn't.
weigh other avatars based on the consequences of their mistakes, unintentional or not, throughout the list. And obviously his was unintentional because he was clearly a good-hearted guy in Avatar. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's still got to weigh pretty serious consequences of his actions.
and I almost wonder like why didn't I mean I get it, like is locking up Vatu putting a band-aid on it? Because to me at that point you didn't necessarily, I don't know, you didn't win the fight, right? There wasn't 10,000 years of of harmony, like the way they kind of talked about, like, all right, well, if Rava wins, it's 10,000 years of good stuff. If Vatu wins, it's 10,000 years of darkness and chaos. And I feel like it sort of just landed in the middle because 10,000 years have gone by and things still went to crap. And at the end of his story, he's like, Rava, even with Vatu locked away, war still wages on. Maybe that's partially because he didn't vanquish. And granted, I'm getting into theory, so it's. I mean, they
I
say
mean,
it in the show.
I was gonna say it's
um,
it's so far it's canon and so far it makes
yeah,
sense.
he just locked up Vatu. He didn't necessarily vanquish him.
Band-aid's a good term. Important to remember, especially, I mean, that's probably too hard on him in the previous. Um, the intentions were good, and he had a heck of a redemption arc. Obviously, he essentially gave his life to fix his mistakes, so that's pretty potent. Just so happens that his mistake was pretty big. Sorry, Juan, but
Yeah,
again, you're a good guy. There's no bad avatars above number 8.
exactly. All right, so number 5. Ready to go on number 5 now?
Yep, I'm there. Surprise!
Okay. Number 5, Avatar Korok. Boom, mind blown. I know what you're thinking. How can like the douchiest Avatar rank number 5? Well, we learned so much about Avatar Korok. Granted, fairly he was as advertised to a certain degree when it comes to his characteristics. I think he did challenge people oftentimes. When it came to the human world, he was fairly uninvolved, but that's almost because Yangchen was so good at being the avatar to the human world that he didn't have to get that involved in it. But on the flip side of that, he had to get involved with the spirit world because dark spirits were attacking people, and so he had to go and fight them. And just in there, when he would fight these dark spirits, they would infect him, sort of like he could feel his spirit draining. He could feel like he already knew he had a short lifespan, and he didn't tell his friends about it because he didn't want his friends to get involved in it because he loved his friends. Like, and I love that reading in the book. He's like, these four people are like my world, and I don't want to drag them into this. And so and sadly, the only way he could feel better, like the only way, like they say, he felt cold whenever he would fight spirits. Maybe because as the Avatar, this seems like something so sacrilegious to use, Rava's light spirit to fight off other spirits, and so it made him feel cold. And the only thing that really warmed up like his body was alcohol, and so he drank a lot, and he partied a lot. And so to the outside world, he was this very irresponsible Avatar, but he was hiding so much more than that.
And I think it's one of those where the behaviors were already kind of there, probably. We're kind of taking a guess here, but then he was able to sort of parlay that into a facade, to sort of cover up his actual doings, which were extremely potent and dangerous, and obviously killed him pretty young. So great. Essentially went from being a bad Avatar to being a great Avatar, with the Nox still being maybe sort of his earthly behaviors and interactions, and a short lifespan, and also losing his wife to a spirit. Yeah. His wife proposed to on day one. That's kind of douchey.
But yeah, the more I think about Avatar Kuruk, the more I just feel for him. Like, he had to turn to alcoholism to deal with his problems. He didn't feel good about fighting spirits. They even said, like, he tried to appease them beforehand, which would cause him to get hurt because they would like attack him, and then he would have to go and kill them. And also he was like a great. One thing we also learned is that he was a great hunter. Like, he was like the world's greatest hunter. He was even great at hunting spirits. Also, we learned that he was a great Pai Sho player, like one of the greatest in the world.
I don't know how else to say it. Is very, very noble move, and fights that he should not have to fight, that he did not bring upon himself, but he did it, and he did it very well for a very short amount of time. But we have tons of newfound respect, Kuruk. Good work, buddy.
I think he even tells his friends, like, there's one passage of the book where it says he tried to tell Kelsang, Jianju, and Heiran what happened and could not. The words stuck in his throat. And this is about him attacking like the first spirit. It said he made up a story about a mischievous spirit tricking him into losing his faculties for a moment. Like, he made up a story that made him look really dumb and stupid, which people was like, well, seems like something Crow did. So it just made him seem even worse. Also,
mischievous spirit.
Yeah. And then the other passages, it says, like, he told a maiden, or a friendly maid gave him wine. It burned his throat going down. The first sensation in days that could cut through the chill. He drank more and more, feeling the liquid press against his wound inside him like a red hot iron to a severed limb. We just learned so much more about Avatar Korra that you almost feel for him. To me, he is like the cautionary tale of the Avatars. To really just talk with your friends. And to me, that's what I hold against him, is that he should have trusted his friends enough to help him out. So, I mean, I get why he didn't, but it still caused a lot of issues in the next life. Like, because his friends felt like they failed him, they didn't know any of this about him. They felt like they had to do everything they could to make up for that. And so Jianju took it a whole different route. It was like, I got to find the Avatar, I got to train them. They got to be the best Avatar there is, because I can't have another Kuruk on my hand. And that drove Jianju crazy. He ended up murdering people. And then Heiran,
I suppose, I didn't think of it, but I suppose in a way that blame falls in some regard to Kuruk.
Yeah. And it says, coming in dark contact with these creatures and destroying them was causing damage to his own spirit. Kuruk was going to be out of the running for the longest era in the Avatar history books.
It's very meta, poking fun at himself.
Another
in
thing
the
about
Avatar
Kuruk
history book.
is that even though he seems very arrogant, he was very adamant about protecting the legacy of Yangchen. I wonder is that because so many people believed in her that he had to like keep propping up Yangchen as this um,
He was like she was,
spotless.
yeah, she was the hero they needed right now.
Exactly.
No, I
But
think
he was the
so,
hero
and
they deserved.
it. I mean, I know we like to throw Batman out here, but yeah, I think it fits pretty well here.
Yeah. I mean, and
So
then he's living the Playboy lifestyle to throw people off. I mean, he's honestly living it though. Like I mean, he's enjoying himself.
I was gonna say
They say.
he buys into that side a little more
Yeah.
than Christian Bale does probably.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, Kuruk, a lot of newfound respect, man. And even telling his friends could have prevented Janju from maybe being a lunatic. Maybe, I don't know. Because they still, the three of them, his friends still might have turned out to be fairly murderous, dangerous people. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But
But just
yeah,
Tianju was murderous. But
no, right?
I mean, yeah.
Kelsang
Was
flipping
great.
ships
I mean,
and murder.
I'm sorry.
He was
Kelsang did kill a lot of
He
people.
killed a lot of people, and then what was I forget what
Hey,
Heiron's
Ron.
was, like accidental Agni Kai
Yeah,
murders.
she had the most. She had the most accidental Agni Kai deaths.
So those people, they're not spotless. But what we're saying is, find yourself some friends, and if you got problems, maybe talk to them. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, Kuruk. Lot to say about Kuruk. Deservedly so this time around.
Yeah, number 5. All right, number 4. This is gonna make people mad. Number 4 is Aang. So we put Aang at number 4 because he ran away from his responsibilities leading to the 100-Year War and the genocide of his own people. Also, Aang can be selfish in a way. He tends to put his own spiritual needs in front of other people, in front of the world. Like he didn't kill Ozai, he didn't kill Yakone, and these things kind of have ramifications for later on. Ozai kind of good ramifications. Yakone not so much.
I haven't gotten to all of Ozai's ramifications yet, so I mean, I believe.
I mean, the only big one is that he led Zuko to find Ursa. Like if Ozai had been killed, Zuko wouldn't have gotten the information to find his mother.
And this is minor detail, so you still have to wonder. Had he prioritized Avatar duties over?
I mean,
Airbender.
Granted,
duties.
people in the Fire Nation were still trying to get Ozai back on the throne, so there was a whole new Ozai society. Which, yeah, never mind. I'm gonna scratch that because it caused still some more issues.
Yeah,
if he was dead, there's no new Ozai.
So gonna go back to that comment we had earlier about it for totally different reasons, but Aang kind of putting nation above duty from time to time. But let's also not overlook the fact he's still number 4. He's number 4 favorite Avatar of all time.
Aang is a great Avatar. I don't want people to get confused. He's a great Avatar. Save the world. Just he's number 4. Not he can't be number 1. Sorry.
Too many flaws, and the competition too stiff up there. Like competition
Grew a good
from
beard.
number 3.
Number 3, Avatar Yangchen coming down.
Biggest
She's
faller
been
right
humbled.
here.
She was number 1 previously on our list, and because our main viewpoint of her was from the humans' viewpoint was that Avatar Yangchen was freaking a goddess. Like she was worshipped as a worship deity to people. She kept such great peace and balance in the world that Avatar Kuruk didn't have to worry about it on the human side. But on the flip side of that, she didn't. She said that she gave humans everything they wanted. Like it's almost a cautionary tale. In that case, that like everyone shouldn't get what they want. I wish I could pull it up and see where is it at.
Well, you pull it up. I'm going to note that one thing I think plays, they mention that kind of plays to her godlike status is the fact that she's an air nomad also, right? So they're just sort of an extra layer of like spirituality and reverence toward her from the other nations.
Yes, people in the Earth Kingdom love seeing the
image.
air nomad.
Yeah.
Like they think air nomads are like good luck and stuff. And so Yangchen probably took that to a whole nother level.
And just let me know when you have it pulled up. But essentially,
Yeah, so Yangchen was telling Kyoshi, um, it's funny, Kyoshi's talking to Yangchen about the dark spirits, and she's like, "So what happened? Did Korra provoke them or something?" Like she's already, even this is after Kyoshi is like kind of in a better place with Kuruk. She's still blaming him, and after Yangchen is like, "No, Kyoshi, I did. I provoked them." Um, it's just I tried my best to nurture human growth in the four nations. When people inevitably butted heads against the spirits, I sided with humans more often than not. Um, Many spirits came to me with complaints of human transgressions against their territories. I told them they should leave the physical world alone and trust their lands and waters would be respected by the humans living nearby. And I trusted those humans to respect the balance of their surroundings. Some people upheld their ends of the bargain, many more did not. I gave each nation everything it wanted, but only realized my error too late. People shouldn't have everything they want. No one is entitled to their every desire. To live in balance, we must willingly decide not to take all that we can from the world and from others. So she learned a lot of good lessons, but she is good at giving wisdom, I think. To me she's the best avatar to give wisdom to if you want to go back to a past life.
yeah, I mean, maybe at some point Korra will have like more wisdom from having such a unique point in history. But yeah, as far as like maintaining earthly harmony, at least, so maybe she wasn't a great bridge. But then
Yeah.
also thanks to Kuruk, like her actions didn't have I don't know how to say, like, it's not they didn't have bad ramifications, but they were were contained. It's not like she incited a 100-year war or anything like that. So yeah, still
Yeah.
great, wildly respected avatar for good reasons. Knocked her down a few pegs for learning some of these things that she learned a little bit too late. But ultimately, they seemed relatable offenses, forgivable offenses to some extent, maybe, of like, hey, I'm going to try to make these humans do their part, and I want you to do your part, and humans let people down a lot,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yep.
That's all right. It's
Mm,
okay, Yang Chen. You're still cool.
And number two is Avatar Kyoshi. I mean, we just learned so much from her. And that list that I just went through was like a long list. I mean, she inherited a really crap world. Like that Yangchen piece only lasted until Korg died because everyone was like, "Holy crap, the last Avatar was terrible," and like so much chaos and the sentiment broke out in the Earth Kingdom specifically. There was a fifth nation coming up trying to stop people or trying to take over. And she did a lot. She she killed Chin the Conqueror, established Kyoshi Island, and then she even said she's like, in the world enter a great era of peace. And I don't think any avatars are lying to other avatars when they say these things.
The
But
she did it. They didn't. First of all, didn't know that she was the Avatar right away. It's like she's just being ignored. So she didn't get the proper training. Like, instead of all this time where she should have been training, learning to be a diplomat, she's having a cohort with criminals just to like survive. So she starts off in the red. Starts off pretty bad. Um, and even later, we hear some of these stories about maybe she's not the perfect avatar. Like, she doesn't round out into form immediately. It takes a while, but she fights so many big, massive worldly battles, wins so many big victories. By the end of the next second book, she's got better grasp and better navigation in between the spirit world and her own world. And she's essentially fighting a spirit at that point. Like, she's trying to maintain harmony between the two worlds. So that checks off that box. She does it for 230 years. That's pretty cool. The Nox being, maybe it took her a little while to round out because she started out with some disadvantages. Creating the Dai League kind of backfired on her down the road.
yeah.
um,
Oh, which I wonder. So in the book, she comes in contact with these dirty cops. Oh yeah, I meant to bring this up in the spoiler review, which we haven't done yet. But in the book, she comes
well,
across dirty
on
cops.
the channel, I think we've done it, but in reality, we haven't done it yet, if that makes any
That's true.
sense.
She comes across some dirty cops in Earth Kingdom, and I almost feel like did she create the Dai Li to be so loyal to the Earth Kingdom that that's why they are the way they are? Like they're not the Dai Li aren't dirty. Like but they are um, they become like loyal to the Earth Kingdom, and they become loyal to whoever is running them.
Maybe just
But
more like they
to me, they're
become
not
more
like
like
dirty cops the
mercenaries
same
than
way that dirty cops
actual.
are, like taking payments or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not a corrupt system as much as it's a group of mercenaries over time. I feel like she also probably creates them. I know she does it in retaliation to the peasant uprising, but a small part of me is like she also at the beginning of the second book was so invested in not petty crime but like local crime,
Yeah,
like being this local superhero instead of being the Avatar. That was
yeah,
kind of her like a
she's
self.
definitely far more of a superhero than I think any of the other avatars.
Probably so. But I think that's kind of she's compensating here. It's like, all right, so I can't be in bossing say all the time, fighting all these individual battles. I'm gonna create this structure that can do it for me, and that's what the Daily. So not even just coming from a good place, but I think they probably were a good thing at one point, and then she died. It happens. She died many years ago, actually. So we'll cut her some slack on that. So even her flaws, it's hard to we can pinprick them because we have more details thanks to the book. But they're so sort of again relatable, forgivable, easy to wrap your mind around those flaws that she does have. So she's not a big fan of like diplomatic schmoozing. That's fine.
No,
Whatever. We get it.
which
You don't
can
mind it.
cause. Yeah, she could definitely be more diplomatic, but which I find honestly the whole Avatar thing to be so. The concept of the Avatar is probably one of the most interesting concepts I think I've seen in fiction. The person who's just reborn year after generation after generation, but they're the same person, but they're slightly not the same. They're not the same person. But it's really amazing concept. I love Avatar.
I also have no issue with the idea that like not that she thought she was above the diplomacy, but like you don't have to confuse politics and harmony. Like you don't have to, those two don't
Yeah,
have to go hand in hand. You can ignore the politics and just do your job. I understand the relationship that it has there, but so
you
I'm
know
not
what
going
would
to hold
be?
that against her.
I know we talked about Avatar Zeta, but like, what if Avatar Zeta was the advisor to to Fire Lord Sozin? You'd be like, hmm, let's do some expanding, huh? Honestly, he might. To me, he wouldn't be like Roku. Would be like, no, you know, we're not at all. Because to me, Sozin's plan at first was like, hey, let's share the wealth with the rest of the world. Which that sounds like a pretty good thing. But Roku was like, no, four nations got to be that, just four nations. Zeto might be like, huh, okay, I'll work something out. Because I feel like yes men, or like if you work under a boss, we've done this before. Like they have a plan. You may not fully agree with the plan, but you're gonna work the plan to to take into account your opinions and everything. If you have a good boss who listens to you,
Like actual collaboration instead
yeah,
of a single spearhead.
yeah.
And he would have, and Szeto would have gone and cooked the books a little bit, made it work. Now you do have to wonder if it would have, maybe he would have thought of the idea of like a Republic City sooner. Like, hey, look at the influence I've had from this centralized location. What if
Yeah.
culturally we had a center and we could see what that would do for everybody? But that's I mean, it's a long shot, but it's fun to think about. I'm just trying to figure out how to work in some Seto Kaiba references here. But whereas Roku just good intentioned but pretty narrow. He just like no, and then he just disappears for a while. I was like, hey, he probably heard me.
Yeah. All right. So that leads us to, of course, number one. She was number two before, but she's number one now. Avatar Korra. I'm sorry, people who hate her for whatever reason. Avatar Korra. She stopped Amon from the egoless revolution. She saved the world from 10,000 years of darkness and chaos by herself. Right. That alone, I think, trumps so much of what other avatars have done. Uh, Granted, you could say that she did cause um, part of it because she was tricked by her uncle, but and I don't make excuses for her, but I think if Aang was in the same situation, he would get tricked too, right? Because her uncle, up front, he looked like a nice guy. Like he was stopping dark spirits by pacifying them, something that Korra couldn't do because he kind of invented the technique in a way. They say in the book that maybe there's other ways that Korra could have handled those dark spirits, but it wouldn't be invented for years. And so if Korra had
Oh,
the
I
same
didn't even think
technique,
about that connection. That's nice.
so if Korra had a technique that Winlock had, that Korra also has, he would have survived. He wouldn't have been killed like that. But so she stopped. Oh, I was saying that Aang Aang would have fell for the nice guy who's really spirited, and then if his granddaughter was going to be like first soul was going to be killed, like he would have opened that portal as well.
Yeah,
But nonetheless, she
absolutely.
opened the portal and she had to make it right. But she did not put a band-aid on. She actually killed Vatu, vanquishing him. She also stopped the Red Lotus. She brought back the Air Nation, willing to sacrifice herself, and she stopped Kuvira from taking over not only the whole entire Earth Kingdom, but also Republic City. So, and she opened a spirit portal, and then she did a lot of other good things that kind of helped a person. Those things like stopping Hundun, which I guess really was major actually, but he was able to get through because the portal was open. Um, he was trapped in Spiral before that. And yeah, and then she stopped a couple of different like gangs and things like that.
It feels to me that like her stakes are bigger than all the previous avatars except for one, but they're getting one sort of brought him on himself. And even she kind of did too, but her solutions feel more finite. They feel maybe less like a band aid. And she does win some, she loses some, but she fight. It just seems like she fights more bigger, higher stakes battles than any of the other avatars, coming out on top more often than not. And we're talking about an avatar that's not like fully even realized yet. How old is she
Yeah,
at the end of the Korra
she's
series?
22.
Yeah, so we like she could have a very long at this rate at the rate that she likes to get like severely injured and stuff. She's probably not going to live super long, but she's got a lot of great avatar work in an unprecedented time and age, unlike anything else before. I mean, unprecedented in the most literal way, fighting the biggest battles, usually coming
Yeah,
out on top, making the tough decisions that other avatars haven't had to make. So, mad respect. Hashtag legend.
yeah, and really like to me, Korra. Like I was talking before about like what different names all the avatars could have if they had what like their story could be called. Like Aang's is the Last Airbender. Korra's is the Legend of Korra. Kyoshi's is the Shadow of Kyoshi and the Rise of Kyoshi. Like if I was actually making a title for her, it would just be Legends plural of Korra because she's done so many legendary things in her time as the Avatar.
I can game with that. I'm also game with Legend of Korra, just like she herself is
Yeah,
the
I'm
legend.
fine
Like,
either way.
yeah, no, I'm just like there. So many of these stories so unbelievable that you tell them all in a row, and like, yeah, that person. No way that person existed. Oh wait, she's still alive. Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Um, I want to read one little bit, one little sentence that Yangchen says to Kyoshi and the Shadow of Kyoshi. She says, "Kyoshi, every avatar makes mistakes." And like to me, that's very valid. It's just to me, it's just a matter of like how big are those mistakes? How long do they linger around? And Korra, her actions right now might make more mistakes in the future, but we don't know those things. So far, she's been handling them.
Yeah, still people, still humans, and she seems to wrap up. If she causes it, she seems to wrap it up better than most avatars. She didn't have any lingering dialy or anything out there yet, and kind of
Yeah.
cleaning up some other previous avatars' messes as well. So Korra,
Yes.
officially, undeniably, unequivocally, the number one avatar of all time at this point. Unless she takes like a real opposite Zuko story arc in the Netflix series that takes some real artistic liberties, then we'll have to rediscuss. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't think either one of us would have any issue if we had to redo this list like every year because new stuff came out. I don't know what the next thing's going
I
to
would
be,
love
but
it.
yeah, I'll cross my fingers that whatever it is gives us more Avatar content. Let's learn about Avatar Salai, that guy that is brought up one time in one
Maybe
novel.
Salai's a girl name. I don't know.
Maybe I'm saying it stupid too. I have no
Oh yeah,
idea. Let's.
I meant to say this before. Avatar to me is such a really interesting show because it is like probably the most feminist show. Like women in this show are so strong and powerful, and our list, the top three are all women, right? They're all women avatars, and to me, all of them are were willing to do what was necessary. Like a lot of them were some of the most selfless. Yangchen, even though she was an air nomad, she knew that and life was so precious, she had to do everything to protect it. Kyoshi, of course, was all business, and Korra um, had all her accomplishments as well. While there's a lot more faults, I think, with some of the guy avatars.
And
But
not that it means
but
anything or that it does or doesn't matter. Maybe just fun to bring up. Two of those women, not heterosexual.
true, yeah,
Interesting trend.
yeah. To me, Avatar is like one of the. It's just a great testament to the creators that the world is. It's very female empowering, I would say. So real quick, I want to read a couple comments from our previous one, just to get a couple different people's perspectives on it. Dese Moha Orisha said Avatar Kyoshi is my fave. So that's good. Connor Alp, I can't say that one. Aang was dealing with a huge ish that Roku was supposed to fit, and he was only 12, and he had less than 1 year to learn three elements and be Ozai. Did all of them and learn energy bending. I think he deserves at least number two spot. Aang is great.
The energy bending is big. That's huge. Just kind of bit him in the rear end.
Yeah. Um, Kaylin God YT says no, Roku would be last because yes, he was powerful, but he let friendship get in the way and left Aang with the burden of learning three elements in 1 year. Yangchen said herself in Avatar, letting morals get in the way of your job is selfish. Yeah, agree with that.
If Yang Chen said it, I agree absolutely.
So to disagree with our opinion, FBI agent said Aang wasn't selfish. He was the last airbender, and if he stained his hands with blood, what do you think it would mean for the entire culture he was about to raise? I believe Aang would have killed if he wasn't the last of his kind. That's a valid point, but it's still putting your nation above the world.
Would it have
And
really
granted,
stained his legacy if he, as the Avatar, had to get his hands dirty? I don't know. That's a great
yeah.
point, though. Thank you for the comment.
All right. Jacob, which I can't read all the. Actually, there's a lot of comments. This video got like 14,000 views. Might be our biggest video.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. One person I think possibly disagreeing with us because I like to talk about people who disagree with us because I respect their opinions. Elijah Butcher. Oh, this was actually the other day. He wrote this. I love this video. That personally, I would have picked Korra as number one. Hey, so
That aged pretty well.
yeah. I mean, she went through some tough ish in just a few years, and she accomplished more than her predecessors, and she was the human of the avatars, as she went from being hot-headed and brash to being humble and wise, and because she's just my favorite avatar of the bunch. Very fair. But then again, I get why you chose Yangchen, as her time as Avatar left the world in a state of peace, in which is very BA, and let's not forget that she was able to set aside her people's morals and beliefs to fulfill Avatar duties, unlike Aang. Also, I believe
I
Korra should
like
have been.
that's a nice way of saying, like, she killed people.
um, yeah. And then Uriah Tinawa Perry 3 months ago said, anybody else realize that he said Aang defeated Sozin instead of Ozai? Facepalm. I'm going to facepalm with you.
And you know what? If you listen to us, like, there's probably a good handful of mistakes every time that we just don't even catch, right? We just kind of go with it and it rolls and we forget. So call us out. That's great.
Muaz Akbar said, Aang, 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 although Kyoshi is sick. Somebody laughed at the Hitler comment that I guess one of us made. Because we said that Roku was friends with
You,
Hitler.
as you said, you said Roku's good friend, Firelord Hitler, or something like that. Yeah.
Netian Star said the Avatar who made volcanoes erupt is the best Avatar Jafar. And let's see a couple more. Alex J. Church, Yangchen is the best.
The one I commented on was just somebody saying like, "Hey, you guys are too hard on Kuruk," and then I just commented below. I was like, "That aged well."
Yeah. So, let me find one more. Let's see which one has like the most likes. Even though maybe that means people agree with them. That was one I read before by Connor Alp, something about Aang dealing with huge stuff. But wait, there's one that I know disagree with this. Okay, by Jacob Wadsworth. Well, I think some points were missed on Korra. If we're going for equality, I do love the videos, though. Thank you. These are my thoughts. Wow, he has a lot of thoughts. Okay, I'll read some of them. Juan B. Vatsu with less experience as Avatar and takes a chance of possible death. You said that he can't be one of the best avatars because he created the problem. So equally rate that Korra created the situation with having to fight Vatsu again. That's fair. But then I think we said on this one that, but she deals with it in a much more definitive way.
Sort of satisfying victory, I guess, eventually.
Yeah, I think pretty much his point is that Korra causes some of her problems, which we agree with. Like all the avatars have issues. I think it's just a matter of how you deal with them and what's the ramifications of those problems. All right. Yeah, all right. So a lot of comments. Thank you for anyone who watched that video. I appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, that's a lot, and a lot of thumbs ups on that video too. A lot of thumbs downs, but that's ranking videos. That's going to be the nature of ranking videos, right?
Oh, here's a good one that disagree with us. Aiden Garcia, Korra is definitely the worst avatar. That was 3 weeks ago. But okay. Thank you for watching.
See, I can still handle saying that Korra, like, if you believe that Korra is the worst avatar, but like, I would like it to be substantiated, you know. But then saying saying that you hate Korra, I don't know. I don't know what you can.
One person's very honest. April M. 6 months ago said, "I have to admit, my dislike for Korra as a person makes me biased and rank her lower." You know, I appreciate the honesty.
That's fair.
And I wrote, though I disagree, I love the honesty.
Well, this self-awareness is huge. We love it.
All right, yeah. But thank you all for watching that video and commenting.
Yeah, thanks for those comments. Please let us know what you think on this one as well. We hope you'll watch this one too. And we hope that you will read those Kyoshi novels because they're going to inform your decisions. With absolute certainty, they're going to inform your decisions. So we hope you get a chance to read those and then tell us your thoughts on our updated rankings, what things we're overlooking, or if we're giving too much credit or too much drop. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Especially, I didn't realize that first video had so many views on it. That's really cool. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
That's what we got. The definitive, the final scientific. Well, it wasn't really scientific. It was us scientific. 2 out of 2 podcast hosts of this podcast agreed. And in the meantime, make sure you check out our other videos on Avatar The Last Podcasters on Chris's channel. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at last_podcasters or on our Facebook page, Avatar The Last Podcasters. My name's Sean. That's my friend Chris Ford, a.k.a. The Objective Geek. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you next time.